Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle D, or Coach Danni D, and I help women to create luxury brands by creating processes and tightening their branding. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease and enjoy your life. My happy space is spending as much time as humanly possible in my pajamas. And I want to help others to find their happy space while still running profitable businesses. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hello and welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I am your host, Coach Danni D, and I am here helping women, business owners, and professionals to find that space of working with ease, work life balance, however you want to talk about it. Some people say work life harmony. I think that's a good way to refer to it as well. But basically, finding that space where you are living a life that is both purposeful and fulfilling. So we are ending out the year. So this is the last episode of 2023. And this time of year, after we've passed over the holiday season and, Christmas and all those things, we, that kind of space between Christmas and New Year's, we typically start looking at, excuse me, um, that year in review, right? That year in review. And that can be a really good thing. That can be something that kind of tortures us a little bit because we are looking at what we didn't accomplish, that we wanted to accomplish. A little scary for some of us to, reflect on, well, I really wanted to get to this point. I really wanted to do this thing. Or maybe the year just looked totally different than what you expected. Maybe, life came in and changed a bunch of things. Sometimes we are excited about what has happened in the year and all the things that we've accomplished. Sometimes we are just waiting for the year to be over and we can't wait to, start over, renew, and have a clean slate. Wherever you are in that feeling about the end of the year, it's okay. It's okay. And I want to be clear about that because sometimes, as you see people going through the list of things that they have accomplished for the year, those milestones and those, wins that they have gotten this year, understand that they've also had losses. They have also had lessons learned. They've also had moments of uncertainty, moments of doubt. Just like anything else, we see the highlights, and you don't always see everyone's full um the full movie of what is going on in their life. We see the highlights. And even with those that may be more transparent about the things that has happened in their lives, we still have a tendency to compare ourselves to that person's highlights. And so I want you to caution yourself to not one get involved in comparison. Your year is your year. And I want you to focus on you in this moment, not anybody else, not where you think that you should be. When you reflect on this year, I want you to look at what have you learned in the year? What have you learned about yourself, about your journey, your path, your passion, your mission? What have you learned about your loved ones? What have you learned about everything in your world? What have you learned this year? Because a lot of times, if it's not a huge win, we don't count it. And we don't think about the things that we've learned because sometimes that part of the journey is more meaningful than some of the milestones and the wins. Sometimes it's what we learn that is going to prepare us for the next milestone, the next win. So, what have you learned? The other thing is that I want to remind you is that, your energy, where your energy goes, that's what's going to grow in your life. So, you can sit in this moment and you can wallow in what you did not do, or you can look at what you have accomplished. Where have you gotten from where you were last year to going into this new year? What progress you've made? Completion does not negate progress. So you may not have, let's say you were trying to go from 0 to 10. You might not have got to 10, but you got to 8. And 8 is closer to 10 than it is to 0. So don't negate your progress just because you may not get to 10 by the arbitrary date of, December 31st, right? Don't negate that progress. That progress carries over with you. Continue down the path. Keep going. Keep going. Don't just quit because you didn't hit, 12 on the dot December 31st. Your success is just as important on January 6th, on March 24th. Your progress is just as important. So keep going. I'm going to, remind you, partially shameless plug, but also just because I know that it's true. Um, if you haven't already ordered a success journal, get one. Start off the year with your success journal and document your successes throughout the year. Because by the time you get to the end of the year, it's much harder to remember those things. And when you're sitting looking at, I said I was going to fill in the blank, and you're not seeing that you completed all the things that you said you were going to do at the beginning of the year. But you can also look at everything that I did. I have not pulled my goals list from the beginning of this year yet to compare, but I promise you that it's not the same stuff that I did this year. Because this year, if you follow my blog, I wrote about this year being a rebuilding year. This year literally was a rebuilding year for me. And so the idea that I had coming into this year and where things have gone is different, but that doesn't make me any less successful in this year. My success just looks different than what I thought it was when I started the year. So that's why the success journal is so important, because you can document it and you can reflect back on it and you can see your progress as you go throughout the year. And in moments like this at the end of the year where you may be thinking, I didn't complete X, Y, and Z, you can clearly see all of the things that you did and all of the things that you were successful at and all of the things that move the needle towards where you want to be going. So get your success journal for those of you that have one. If you haven't been, using it and you kind of slacked off, pull it back out, start using it again, and keep yourself focused on success and moving forward, staying in that positive energy, because wallowing is not going to solve anything. It's not going to get you any closer. It's not going to, help you get to that happy place. It's just not. So let's not do that. Let's not. And don't look at things in isolation, because sometimes we'll say, oh, well, I didn't do this thing. And it might sound like it's a simple thing that you could have done. And maybe you could have. But maybe, even though it was a simple thing, maybe there were other things going on in your life at that time that were prohibiting you from doing that thing. Maybe there were other things that were much more important that are pressing that you had to deal with that pulled you away. And that's okay. We're not going to try to redo an entire year in the next 3 or 4 days. Doesn't really make sense. Anything that's important and important enough to continue to work on, keep working on it. Keep going. Like I said, it's not going to matter if you hit that goal by the end of December or if you hit that goal by the end of February. Just keep going until you hit that goal. Because the goal, the why behind the goal hasn't changed. The timeline may have had to be adjusted, and that's okay. Adjust the timeline and keep pushing. So I want you to, reflect on that. I want you to reflect on where you're going and not so much where you didn't make it to yet. Reflect on where you're going, reflect on putting positive energy behind doing those things that matter to you. Sometimes you have to reflect on whether or not this thing really matters to you. Because sometimes, when you started this thing, it was important. And maybe through the journey, you realize, you know what, this is not really aligned with my mission and it needs to go. That's okay too. It's okay to let something go. You don't have to feel like, oh, I failed at that thing. No, you just realize that that thing was not important to your journey. And that's okay too. So I want you to take this time to reflect, but to reflect from a positive place of knowing that when the ball drops, or us in the balloon industry, when that balloon drop gets pulled at midnight, it's not a pass or fail of your goals, your ambitions, your life's journey. It's not a pass or fail. You can continue on. That's an arbitrary deadline, and it does not define your success. So sit down, reflect, figure out where you are, where you want to go, and start taking the next steps to get to where you want to go. And, if you want to toast that midnight on what you have done and what you are proud of, do that. But also toast to what you're about to do. Toast to all of the progress that was made, no matter where, no matter if you're at 10%, 25, 75, 95, no matter where you are in that spectrum, you have made some progress. And if there's some things that you feel like, you know what, I said this and I never have touched this again, figure out the next step. Roll it right on over into the new year. Figure out how to stay focused and how to stay engaged in that thing and make sure that you make it happen if it is important to your journey. So that's what I have for you guys. I am going to be working on some things behind the scenes, some really cool things that I want to roll out in the new year. I definitely want to thank each and every one of you for listening. This has been an amazing year. If you haven't caught all the episodes, especially the guest expert episodes, go back and, if you're on holiday break, binge listen. There's some really, really good stuff in there. I want to thank all of our guest experts for this year. Some amazing, brilliant women who share their brilliance with us. And I'm just proud to have had them as guests, have welcomed them into my community and them welcome me into theirs. Um, so check them out if you haven't already. Make sure you check them out. Some really cool women to know. Have a blessed rest of your year. And I wish you all of the, prosperity and growth and joy and fulfillment in the coming year. And I can't wait to see what unfolds. Of course, don't be a stranger. Join the Facebook community where you can talk a little bit further and, share and all that type of stuff. But definitely, I want to see all of the growth journeys, wherever they may be. It could be in your career, it could be in your life, it could be in your relationships, but always be continuing to grow. So happy new year. And I will see you again in the new year. And we're almost on a 2-year anniversary for the podcast, which is like so crazy for me. But I'm also so excited about that as well. So happy new year and see you guys next year. Thank you for listening to the Prophets in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with ease. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram. For more information about building your luxury brand, register for my upcoming luxury brand workshop at CoachDanniD.com.